twice, now we're back in this corner once. I think it's just gonna be an ongoing problem. And there's no way of really fixing it.
Yeah.
So the decision is, okay, you guys wanted air conditioning. So the units the way they come is they come heat pump. Low temperature heat pump, which I think if they're good, minus 15 degrees, 100% at minus 15 outside. And I did mention to everyone that we are running our hardware store on Main Street exclusively on these units. And when it was minus 27 degrees in January, they still kept 65 degrees in the hardware store. The other thing that was amazing to us was that we changed from oil heat in the hardware store, which is kind of weird because we're an oil business, to we changed the lighting. We upgraded all the lighting to LEDs. We did a few other modifications, and we put these units in, and Donnie didn't see any kind of increase in his electric bill. That's how efficient they are. Once these units get up to steady state, all they do is maintain the temperature. They're very efficient. You can go in the hardware store and just look on the side of the walls and you can see the units. There's 10 of them in that building.
So they're not oil, they're electric?
They're a heat pump.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a heat pump.
Heat pumps, okay.
Heat pumps years ago, you'd say, oh, heat pumps, they're no good, they're only for down south. People said, okay, South Carolina, where it doesn't get that cold. They've developed the inverter technology so much that they're great. They're absolutely great. And if I was to build another house, I probably wouldn't put a centralized heating system in, because I could have these heads in the building, and if, let's say, one head failed, the other ones would be okay, so I would never be out of heat, and it's the same thing that happens here. So that if one head had a problem, the other heads are still running.
So it's multiple compressors?
Multiple compressors in the same unit. Now, this is Halsey's. So if it's a 3-ton unit and you're 12,000 BTU heads on the unit, there's 3 small 12,000 BTU compressors in that unit. No?
No.
That's why I said it. Okay, sorry. That's why I said it.
So, to the multiple compressor comment, Fujitsu is a multi-zone unit, meaning we have one outdoor unit that can handle multiple heads inside, okay? There is one compressor outside. The way Fujitsu works, ladies and gentlemen, is through computer technology, okay? Everything is a variable speed motor. Everything is an ECM motor. We might have heard those terms, okay? We would have multiple units around your facility, okay, around your...
Multiple
area.
heads or multiple compressors?
Yes.
Both, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was assuming, yeah.
You know, for
So if there was a
instance,
failure of one, we wouldn't have total loss of heat.
Correct.
Yeah.
right, so you get the advantage, there's a lot of advantages here. You get an advantage of redundancy, first off and foremost. Jack was speaking about that. Say, for instance, one of the heads in here has a problem for some reason. You'll have 3 other heads to take care of this. Will you be at full capacity? Probably not. Will you be able to maintain a comfortable temperature? Absolutely. Rather than just having one heating plant or one cooling plant. Okay? The efficiencies Jack is talking about is due to the variable speeds. Okay? Your outdoor fan motor is variable speed. So it will speed up and slow down as it needs to. The compressor itself is variable speed. So again, it will ramp up or down depending upon its temperatures. The indoor fan that actually distributes the air that we were talking about is variable speed. So what happens, you take all these motors that are just kind of fluctuating and moving, okay, and we get energy efficiency is what happens. I've seen these units draw as little as 3 to 5 amps, maintaining a building at 70 degrees heating. You go inside, we've got 110 degree air coming out, not 80, not 70, because, you know, there might be the heat pump naysayers. Okay, no, we had those heat pumps, we didn't like them, they were cold. Well, you know what? In 78 and 1980, I'm gonna walk right over there and side with you. I'm gonna sit on that bench with you. Well, with the technology that's with us today in the market, that's been in the market, these heat pumps can produce warm air in excess of 110 degrees all winter long. You would have multiple condensers outside that might be an aesthetic issue. We were talking about that prior, sir. We were just having a conversation, not trying to be disrespectful.
That's right.
That may or may not be an aesthetic issue. They do need to sit on risers because they are heat pumps and we need to keep them somewhat out of the snow level. Okay, so they would be sitting up probably about 12 to 18 inches off the ground. They're very quiet. Indoors and outdoors are less than 50 decibels running at full capacity. So think of your refrigerator in your kitchen. Welcome, ladies. As they slow down, they get even quieter. We have people putting streamers on them because like here, you know, we'd propose mounting them up a little bit higher, okay? And, you know, I've seen people just put little streamers on them because, is it running? I can't hear it, but yet the room is comfortable. Or they go outside and you actually physically look at it. Oh yeah, the fan's spinning. They are a computer-driven piece of equipment. It's a technological piece of equipment. There's no, I can't deny that, I can't get away from it. They work fantastic. Persico Oil and Jack has installed numerous of these products throughout Ravenna, Albany, you name it.
Your store.
Yeah,
You done it.
exactly.
It's a
I'm
hardware
very happy
store,
with
yeah.
it.
The hardware store, yes.
Yeah.
I work with Security Plumbing and Heating Supply. My role just changed, but I've been working with Security Plumbing and Heating Supply for the last 8 to 9 years as kind of like a territory manager from the Canadian border all the way to New York City. We have these things in drug rehabs in Saranac Lake. And the owners just want more of them, because they work very, very well. They're super quiet. You get zoning. Let's talk about that. This room's not going to be used. You don't have to spend a lot of heat in here, okay? But yet, the sanctuary or the main parish itself, you can bring that up to temperature. There's only going to be a few people in here. You only need to run a couple of them. Oh, we're going to have a full house. You know what I mean? Now you can run them all. There's a lot of benefits with using the Fujitsu units. The heating and cooling combination, one of the biggest misconceptions or one of the biggest issues we have getting people to understand, we really can't do simultaneous. So you're either going to be heating or you're going to be cooling.
They're all remote control. They all come with a remote. In this application, you probably only use one remote and hide the other two, because you don't want people turning them on and off and,
Or ripping the plastic.
right, you just set them and forget it. That's-
Well, in this application, what I ask a lot of time is, you know, there's a board, there's a committee here. You can set these things, and notice Jack spoke about it being a remote control. Did you hear a thermostat? No, you could take that remote control, set these for a function, and then bring it with you. Bye-bye. It does not need to be in the room. So you could put this room comfortably, it's a block room, I bet you even if you put this room at 75, it'd be pretty comfortable. We got a lot of concrete in here. You could set that, take that remote control, lock it up in the office, and just let the room function at 75 degrees. I was in northern Vermont a year and a half ago, and we were in a little community room like this, and we had 3 of the units, and we were talking about the energy savings. And the one gentleman had a little bit of construction experience, and he goes, so what's gonna happen if we measure the amp draw? I says, you're gonna be really impressed. I bet you it's below 3 amps. He goes, no, it can't be. This unit's running. There's no way it can be below 3 amps. We put our amp meter on there, it was like 2.5 amps. Sipping electricity.
That's not a lot of amps.
No,
No, sir.
and you're right. does
It is
say.
not. You know, the
This
units,
is something more than,
Units.
right,
yeah.
right.
What Security Supply has seen As far as problems, if someone was to say, what's the problem? We have install problems. For Seco Oil, I have 0. There are some contractors where we've kind of had to pull them aside and say, hey, come on, you know, because if they're, like any other thing, I don't care if it's the automobile you drive, the new windows you have, if it's not installed properly, that's where the problems lie. Okay, residentially or commercially, as long as these units are registered, it's a 10 and 10 warranty. So the compressor, you know, the heart of it, if you will, is a 10-year warranty, and then parts is 10 years as well.
It's really good because most of the air conditioners is like 5-year on a compressor.
Right. So what's the typical lifespan of the unit?
Properly maintained, easily 12 to 15 years. Properly maintained.
Right.
So the outdoor unit would need to be serviced at least once a year, depending upon the, what do you call the pollen, the cottonweed, the white fluffies.
Yeah, getting stuff.
Pre-wash them off.
Yeah.
They're very bad for any air conditioner, folks. Extremely bad.
Fog.
And then the indoor, just general, you know, there's little filters you can pull out, kind of like, I heard someone say we had window shakers for the parish. You know, those filters, very similar to that, they should be looked at periodically. And I say periodically because that's all gonna depend upon usage, you know what I'm saying? If this door's open a lot, and we're taking in a lot of dust and particulate, well, we need to clean them more often. They're washable. Take them out, wash them, put them back in. Not very, very difficult.
The other thing is that these buildings are limited use. It's not like they're occupied every day, 12 hours a day. Certain areas might be. So the longevity of the unit's gonna be more than based on every day this unit's gonna run.
Well, on that point, I was, have you worked with like ceramic radiant heat? Because like in the sanctuary, kicking that up to heating it to be comfortable enough for a 1 hour, hour and 15-minute service, you know, something like a radiant type heat would be able to, as an auxiliary, to kick it up faster, as opposed to keeping it, I mean, because it's such a large space, keeping it heated up to say, let's say 68, 70 degrees.
Most efficient when it's
Or-
up to temperature and maintaining.
That's what I'm thinking.
So the initial heat up of the
Right.
sanctuary is where the money in the electrical usage is. Just sitting out there and in the winter and heating is barely anything. So you're better off just setting it and forgetting it.
Okay, wouldn't see a savings by keeping it at, say, 65
Now
and
you're
kicking out a
starting
radiant
all
heater
over- You're
to...
starting all over again. You gotta heat all the concrete, you gotta heat all the pews, you have to heat all.
Well,
the-
that's what I was thinking, if you had something like that, you know, the ceramic radiant type things,
Yeah, we
that
know.
you kick in and knock it up, I mean, you bring the heat up really quick for that, you know, so you're keeping it at, say, 65.
I was gonna say, Fujitsu doesn't embrace any resistive or ceramic type accessories
So you
within
keep
your
the
units.
whole area up at
Yeah.
a high
Or
temperature.
let's say you're gonna,
It's
you know
such-
you're gonna use it on Sunday, you turn it on Wednesday and just let it run.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah, because you've got to take all that time to bring it up to heat
Right.
for such a big area for an hour and a half.
Right, it's not,
Any heating we utilize, be it, you know, water.
Hot air, yeah.
Or
is-
we're talking about a reverse cycle heat pumps, we're talking about heat pumps. Any heating we use in this atmosphere, this type of usage, that's a problem.
Yeah,
That's the kind of the
it's a
crux
big,
of the
yeah,
matter.
yeah.
Which is why we recommended the Fujitsus, because you notice I talked a little bit about the amp drop. Once we reach the steady state, it costs
maintaining
nothing
it.
to run these things. Your cost of ownership to maintain a steady state is extremely marginal, very small.
So if there were 3 units in here,
Yep.
would you program each individually, or do they work together?
it's funny, because if they're close, you have to kind of block the remote from going to, when you press it, the light will come on, the damper's open, you know that unit's set. Then you go to the next one, do the same thing, and then the next one. That's how you turn them on.
Is it lane of sight?
Yeah, you know,
Well, there's an angle, you know what I
But
mean?
it's like,
It's just an infrared,
It's
it's
infrared.
truly, picture your TV remote
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
To your point, sir, I would like them all to run in unison.
Mhm.
Not just, oh, we're gonna run this one today, that one. I would like them all to run in unison. Jack, myself, and Kevin came over, took a lot of measurements. We ran what's called a manual J, heat load, heat loss calculation, to make sure we're getting the sizing properly done for the units. And I'd like the system to work together in unison. Not just, okay, we're gonna run this one, because again, we have the variable speed capacities. So everybody, once this place comes up to temperature, wherever that set point is, the unit will literally just idle. And that's where your efficiencies are on that steady state. So that's something, it's a little bit different than the way the building may have been operating or have been set up to operate. You know what I mean, where the main hall or the sanctuary, if you will, was kept at 55, right? And then someone would get here Saturday evening perhaps, or if you have some Saturday masses, maybe Saturday morning, turn the heat up, correct? It would come up to temperature, and then Sunday evening, it was your turn to stop by and make sure the thermostat was set down. The facility will operate a little bit different than it probably has over the last
1960.
But now, the technology has come a lot farther as well. The technology has advanced tremendously.
It's definitely a mindset on figuring.
Sure.
Because we're, you know, like, you wanna run into individually, it's better to just let it, the whole thing will just,
Yeah.
you know,
Keep her in the long run.
yeah, because you're gonna make,
Well,
you know, you're gonna try to change this one to be 75, that one to be 65, it's just, you know.
What I ask people to do is embrace the technology. That's what the Fujitsu is. You know, you have Fujitsu, Mitsubishi, and Daikin are the leaders in the industry. Embrace that technology and let the technology work for you. That's why we're looking at Fujitsu, okay? If you're trying to outthink it or manipulate the technology, I'm sorry, that's not gonna, you know, you can if you want. In the end, it'll be your equipment.
Yeah,
Yes,
keep
sir.
it later. Are these heat pumps?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are they air or water based?
Air.
Can they still, the new ones that we have now, how low of a temperature can they deal with?
You get full capacity down to 15 below zero before we start to slip down the slope.
The output.
And then
Yeah.
after that, is it electric backup if it's,
It's always electric.
yeah,
There is no resistive backup.
Yeah, there's no electric element.
There's no heat.
okay.
Yeah, there's
No,
there's no ceramic backup or resistive backup.
I did mention that we put them in the hardware store, and in January, when we had minus 27, and they were still able to handle 65 degrees inside.
Okay,
So they're that efficient.
because it used to be, they kicked off at about.
Yeah, they have the
20
electrical
degrees.
bank heaters. That's,
Oh, yeah.
that's the
Well,
old.
we still
that's
sell
all.
heat pumps, where I would look at you folks and I'd say, ma'am, somewhere about 35 degrees, we gotta go to auxiliary heat.
Right.
We still have those. These are, you know, these
It's
Fujitsus are
different.
completely different.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, that heat pump still exists you're thinking about.
yeah.
So if these units are mounted up high, heat rises. How does it circulate back down so we're comfortable here?
The units have about a 25 to 30 foot throw. And when the Fujitsus come on, the dampers come down, so that way the heat comes across the floor and back up. The top of every unit is the return. So we create an air pattern within the room. So it pulls the air off the ceiling, and then it comes back and around.
So even in the sanctuary with the 40-foot peak, it'll do that fine.
Yep. Now, we could go out to the sanctuary. I believe there were some fans there, yes? Some ceiling
one.
fans?
There's one.
That's okay. Anytime we get into vaulted ceilings, I ask that that fan spins slowly. I don't want it to be the shaker. No, 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 no. I just want that fan to move, please. That would be the only thing I ask. And I always ask that in any vaulted atmosphere, be it residentially or commercial. Aesthetically, it's a wonderful, it's beautiful, but there's a lot of heat there that we should be utilizing, that we should be, I don't know if capturing is the right word, but, you know, and to everyone's misconception, that fan doesn't need to move fast.
Right.
We just want it stirring
You
the
just end up
air.
with a draft if you have it.
Velocity's cooling.
Exactly right, too much speed.
Too much
will
velocity,
cool-
we'll
will
remove the
cool
heat from the air.
stuff, Exactly.
If it's not working, Mr. Corona, you mentioned an electrician.
Herb Wagner.
We should, while Herb's here assisting with the project for the line voltage, we should take a look at that fan and make sure that it's,
Is there any way to tie it into the system so that it activates when necessary, or is it needed on constantly?
the fan.
Yeah.
Mr. Wagner could easily tie that into the system. So if the Fujitsu units are running, he could just use a little current sensor, current sensing relay for the units, and he could operate that fan. It's actually not a very, very hard thing to do.
Is it necessary of this system?
To have the fan going in the vaulted area?
Well, to have it going all the time is slow.
Okay.
That would, you would just get the circulation and get a more uniform,
It actually pulls the heat off the ceiling
Ceiling.
and just pushes it down, that's all it does.
yeah.
See, what you guys had before was, radiant heat in the floor, where it only heats up to about 10 feet. Above that it's cold, but you're not sitting up there.
Yeah.
So it's a little different than that.
So would it be
That
necessary to tie that fan into the system if it's
whole-
on?
Yeah, you can,
Yeah.
you can.
If you just run it 24 hours, that's fine, or you can tie it into the system so when it comes on and that current sensing relay sees an amp draw, oh,
It turns the fan on.
Yeah, okay.
I see
So
an
either
amp
or.
draw, I'm gonna run the fan. Oh, no amp draw? No fan. And that's easily done, actually.
Okay.
That's not very complicated electrically at all.
Depending how old that fan is, they might want to
I
replace it.
believe it's original.
Then they might want to replace it.
Yeah.
It runs.
There
It runs, we use it off and on, but.
Right.
Yeah.
So look at me.
Yeah.
We replaced the switch,
We did.
but that's it. Yeah.
You may want to swap
So-
out for something a
Find the
little
poor
newer.
soul that gets on top of that ladder.
Yeah.
Can you go over exactly what the plan is for the entire facility? Where units would go inside and out?
All right, so that's me. In the sanctuary, we would have units both on the south side of the building and on the north side as you came in. Because some of the units would be for the sitting area that's in there for like the children, that little room as you come in.
Oh,
on
the
right,
lounge.
The lounge area.
Yep.
And now I'm hearing that the office is gonna need this as well.
Yeah,
So
that's a new
That compressor will be
request.
there. So you'll have a few through there and a few on the other side. There are
So
limited.
let me stop you there. So it wouldn't be a big addition to add the offices? Because I know this is a new
Well,
plan.
No, it's something that can be done. It just, we're gonna be probably changing the unit so that maybe it'll be able to handle the office on the same unit that, you can buy these units 2-ton, 3-ton, 4-ton, and then depending on the amount of heads that go on, the size of the unit, the outdoor unit. So I think there were 3-tonners out there. Maybe we can put a 48 out there and do the office.
Okay,
On the same unit that the sitting area is, and then the area that's behind the church, that little.
Northex.
So it is a little bit of redoing, but no,
So did they make
Okay.
small heads for the office, something, I know,
6,000, 5,000.
so it's easily
Are you
done.
you talking BTUs or you're talking physically?
Well, I'm physically, but also BTU, because I mean, obviously you wouldn't need, I mean, some of these things are 3-4 foot
Yeah.
long,
Right,
and that would be
right.
fine for here, is what you can use there in the
You'd sweat
office.
in the office.
Yeah, you want to, I mean,
In the
so,
office,
because the
they'll
head is
probably make
independent,
A 12,000.
and it just
is
taps
probably
into the
12
compressor.
inches tall, maybe 8 or 10 inches wide, maybe 2 foot long.
Right, so you wouldn't need a lot.
Yeah.
So there would be one inside, a little lounge perhaps, and one in the office?
No, the lounge is gonna have something that's gonna hang from the ceiling, I think. That's the way
Okay,
our bid
but there would be a
was.
separate unit.
Lounge has all the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have,
That
it's
would be
a,
mounted, well, if Jack went that way.
We're coming off the drop ceiling.
okay,
Okay.
All right, so it's, because there's all glass there, there's nowhere to mount it on the wall, so we
Yeah.
decided we'll go in the drop ceiling with the same type of unit, but it's just like, I can show it to you, I can pass the book around and show you what it'll look like in the ceiling grid.
yeah, it would be
It
like,
just drops in the
like a
ceiling grid.
recessed light,
Go in the library,
yeah.
go in the library. We put
Okay,
them
yeah, I
all-
know what you mean,
Go in the community library, we put them all in the library, right down the middle.
yeah,
So that's how that building works.
so, would that be a more aesthetic actually than,
Yeah.
Yeah.
than the wall
Yeah,
units?
yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the preferred.
Yeah.
When we're talking aesthetics, anytime we can get them into the drop
You
ceiling
don't see it, it's just,
atmospheres.
yes.
Right.
You have to have enough room up on top, but it's usually in there, it's okay. This is very tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Very
This is
tight.
within inches, we've been up there, it's not that,
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, me too.
not that much room.
Yeah, all you gotta do is look over there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
They have that sounding tight.
I'm sorry, I cut you off before, Jack.
No,
You were
no,
going
that's
through the
good.
units.
No, so you have outdoor units on the south side of the building and on the north side of the building for the sanctuary. Also, that unit will handle the sitting area, and then we'll incorporate the office. So that's those. These will be right along this wall.
And you'll have another one for the children's room?
That's, sitting room, I think we
The
call it.
sitting room.
Lounge.
The lounge.
Lounge, yeah.
The lounge.
You'll do a
Yeah.
separate condenser.
There'll be a separate one for
Different
that.
terminology.
What,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now
What
that's
about
what's
the
on the
academic
inside.
wing?
What's outside?
Those are the outside units I'm talking about as well.
Yeah.
Condensers will be on the outside. You'll have one unit will handle 2 heads. So 136,000 BTU unit has 2 heads inside. So we need about 9 tons in that building, so that when you put 200 people in there, we'll try to hold that cooling for like the weddings and stuff like that. You try to size for maximum load, maximum people. Because, you know, you want people to be comfortable, and you know they're gonna come to the church more if they say, hey, they already got air conditioning, we'll have the church there, we'll have the mass there. So that's pretty much what we do. I can give you copies of all the heat loads and all the calculations that we did. You know, there's probably 25 pages. So we're not new at it, we're not new at it. And just to mention a little bit about Donnie and the company, we do a lot for the churches, and you guys know.
We know.
And again,
Yeah, we're
And
really
we're grateful.
very
and
grateful.
I, again, when you guys asked me for the price on this whole project, I'm not sure where it's gonna end up, because when it goes to Donnie, I don't know what he's gonna do. You know, he always gives you money off, he always treats you well, so that's pretty much the way it is.
Jack, could I see the brochure?
Sure.
That's the latest and greatest.
They're few and far between, so take that one and,
Actually, I think I have one more I could give.
I was also gonna ask you is.
What about the
we'll
academic
definitely
wing?
probably- With the piping situation, we'll need one unit in that.
I should probably let them say.
all right, so it all depends on how you guys wanna break up the job. Do you wanna do it in stages, which is better for me, because we've got a lot of work right now, all right? And we'll make it a priority, we'll get the guys over here, you know, but your electric is probably gonna be what's gonna hold you up. You know?
Upgrade? We have to upgrade the electric?
You know,
Yeah, we
you're
haven't
gonna need
talked
new
about the
panel box.
electric
You're gonna
yet.
need a new
So-
pan- You're gonna need new panel box.
Yeah, that
Or
makes
you're
sense.
gonna need a sub panel. But I talked to Herb, and Herb says he's gonna run main wire over to where the units are, and then that's where he's gonna put the box, and we can go off of that.
So let's get everybody up to speed. A
Yep.
few people knew, but I don't think everybody knows, that Herb Wagner, Michelle's husband, is a licensed electrician.
Right.
And we had reached out to him asking what he'd be willing to do for us, but I didn't even know what he had agreed to.
I was talking to him, and he's more than willing to help,
Okay.
all right? You gotta have a licensed electrician here. We're licensed to do all our equipment, so God forbid something happens, we're insured.
Right.
All right? If I start tinkering around with, we do it in households where I'm running 130 amp circuit on a 220 on a 10 wire, I'm okay. But when you start to put this and you're gonna have 200 people in there, it's gotta be right, without any doubt. You know, you wanna have it right. You don't wanna overload the panel box that you have down in the boiler room. So you're probably gonna end up having another 200 amp panel, which you'll grab from the main service and use for that. We talked about running over the top of the roof with conduit to these units over here. We'll work hand in hand with him, whatever he needs to do, but you have a guy like that on the job, you do what he says, as far as the electric.
Okay.
We are actually today, tomorrow, and Thursday, putting these in Herb's house,
Right.
all right? So, and we're gonna spray foam there too, so we're doing a lot there for him.
For those that don't know, he's just retired, but was the head electrician at Lafarge.
He's there still now, just on a consultation basis, and that's what he's doing. He's a good man, honest man, he does what he has to do.
What do we do for hot water right now? Is it oil?
No, it's
Boiler?
electric.
It's electric, all right, so that's separate.
Whole different ball of wax, the education wing. We were gonna take the project in steps, so that financially it's okay for you guys, and we work right through it. The educations and all the classrooms are different. Those classrooms, there's multiple classrooms. They can, these can more than handle that. You can talk about the multiple heads on one unit. Does Fizitchu do the, what do they call
Well,
it?
we can put 8 heads on one outdoor unit.
Yeah, so you've had 8 rooms there, you can do 8 rooms
Or
on
on
one
one
outdoor unit.
We lose some heating capacities there though, so if we're looking to do primary source, that may not be the unit. You know what I mean? Here, we're looking for primary source, heating and cooling, so that does narrow the equipment that we can use. It's not the full breadth of the line, if you will. It does narrow it down a little bit as you flip through the catalogs. I got a second one circulating over there too. So we just have to take a look at that. When you look at the project, folks, as I was stepping out to get a catalog, I heard Mr. Corona talking about, this can be done in pieces. That's another thing that might be appealing to the parish, is it doesn't have to all be done at once. You can kind of cherry pick, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's our, I'm ignorant, what's our heating system? I understand it's pretty bad.
Your
Overall,
heating-
is that,
Your boilers are in great shape. They're
Okay.
10-section Burnhams, they're twinned together on a primary, secondary pumping system, and they have multiple zones.
okay,
It's the heating that's in these rooms and in the floor.
in the floors?
Yeah.
Oh, in all the room, including the,
There are
It's
certain
any,
valves.
anywhere that it's buried in the concrete,
so anywhere on this,
Steel
flo-
piping.
it's rotting.
this floor,
It's
so.
black pipe.
The,
Yeah.
the classrooms,
They're a little different.
yeah, because they're not,
There is a valve down in the hallway that isolates the sanctuary, the hall, the office, and this. At the end of the hallway, you pop that tile if there's a large valve. That turns that off and you turn it back in the boiler room. That takes this whole section. We
Right
can
off
turn
the
this
line.
whole section off.
so we could
And
still
just
use the other.
use that boiler for the classrooms.
That would work, right? I mean, it wouldn't work for cooling, but it would work fine for heating.
No portion,
Actually, that works well.
no portion of those pipes for the education wing are buried in concrete.
I don't think so.
Not the
I
base,
think
not
they go
downstairs?
overhead in the drop ceiling and they drop down in the classrooms. I
So far-
don't think they're in the ground.
Okay, so far we haven't had problems with it.
No,
Oh,
it's
good.
all been up here.
All right.
That's a
Good.
plus, that's a,
Yeah, it's,
a savings right
All the
there.
pipes were in the drop ceiling on, in
Yes.
And we can take any air conditioners we have in the sanctuary and use them in the classrooms.
That's
That's
been
excellent,
discussed,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean,
we
since we'd have
generally
them.
don't have Sunday school during the summer.
Oh, true.
So, yeah.
VBS.
have one where the books are.
I mean, since we have a
And
unit.
we have a dehumidifier in there.
An air conditioner.
It doesn't mean that you can, if the spot where you want an air conditioner, you can put one head with a small unit outside.
Well, we have the window ones now in the sanctuary that could be utilized for that on a day-by-day basis, should we need them, yeah.
as
Yeah.
needed.
I'll let
So-
Mosey
VBS.
talk about this, because I'm
So-
okay with it, but he knows exactly. There's different modes on this, like a dry mode, so that if you come in and it's not really cold and, hot enough to turn the air conditioning on, you can turn these
dehumidify.
different modes on and it'll dehumidify. Yeah, that's why I'm just.
Yeah. You pushed it a bit.
Yeah,
The air conditioning process, folks, is dehumidifying.
it is.
That's what happens. So, with just saying that, the unit has to be running to dehumidify. Okay? Are there dehumidifying properties within these units? Absolutely, because they're air conditioners, okay? There is a dry mode that Jack speaks of that will override your set point by like 2 or 3 degrees, okay?
Just to dehumidify.
To help assist with some dehumidifying. However, you're gonna reach this set point, if you will, and the unit's gonna shut off. So, does it have some dehumidifying properties? Yes.
It's an assist.
It's an assist would be a very politically correct way of saying it.
In other words, better than nothing.
Better than nothing. I do not propose these as dehumidifiers at all.
Not what they're designed for.
Because it's not gonna achieve, if we wanna remove 40 pints of water a day or something,
Do that.
that's not gonna, this isn't the equipment to do that.
The- go
Like
ahead.
in the choir room, we have the piano, which is just a smaller open room. Would it work okay in that versus the room with thousands of books? and
Where's the
shelves in
choir
it?
room, right?
It's the one all the way down.
All the way down
end
to
of
the hall
bottom,
downstairs?
Right by the boiler room.
Just taking,
If you go down the stairs, go all the way down the hall as far as you can
So you go
go.
down the stairs past the boiler room and
Yeah,
it's
all the way
already-
down to the end.
Yeah.
You walk in,
There's a
I
drop
mean, if you
ceiling.
wanted to put something in there, like one unit in there, you could just do that.
Oh, yeah.
just maintaining the room temperature itself and getting the humidity to what could be considered a norm in the summer, say a relative humidity of 50, something like that, the units
Is there a
could
window in
achieve.
that room?
You know, that would help the piano. If you're
All
talking
air
about
conditioning,
the
I'd
two
rather-
piano,
Constant
lot of them already have
temperature.
Yeah, just for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's
no,
why
you
that
want-
door goes out.
They
But
wouldn't want the books to be
yeah.
musty.
Especially
Yeah.
since
we have those in the evening.
she would keep everything.
With something like
right, but
that,
there's no air conditioning in there now, right?
yeah, but for a
So
small,
humidity probably spikes in that room.
and for, but for a small room that's being used occasionally, you can put a window air conditioner for $200 rather than a unit. I mean, putting a unit in there with a head, it's gonna cost $1,000, $2,000 or,
3,500 and up.
right, okay, so it's just not
That's why it's
fiscally,
better if we
Yeah.
do this in the, when we go to the
Yeah.
classrooms, we go for the whole deal for that.
eventually, yeah.
That's definitely me.
Yep. What's critical now is, yeah,
Yeah, you need the sanctuary and,
it's
Well, the
critical.
sanctuary in here.
and here, yeah.
Yeah.
And that, this is perfect for that type of
And the office.
situation.
Sounds
There's
like
a lot of functions in here.
Well, we're kinda adding the
from
office on just so
wedding
it
and
makes
stuff,
sense.
they-
Yeah, 'cause
More
it's
than
in
what
between.
we needed,
Groups,
yeah.
weddings,
Right.
you know, whatever the case may be, absolutely.
Sounds,
Now, did you
sounds
say
like
they're
a great
programmable
option.
or just operated by the remote and set?
They are programmable to a point. They have like a start and stop feature, you know, basic programming. So within a 24-hour period, you can tell it to come on and shut off, and it'll just repeat itself.
Okay.
But that's not what we wanna do anyways, from what
You
you're
don't wanna
saying.
be a
Yeah.
thermostat
Oh, that's-
jockey,
right.
Yeah,
because
That's true.
that'll,
That's true.
that'll not be good for the unit. You
Yeah.
gotta set it and forget it, and it'll come up to the optimum energy efficiency, and it'll stay there.
And that's where you guys run the True Value store.
True value is completely on these units,
Yeah.
you know?
Think of it this way, this may simplify it. We were talking about this before we came up here. Last week it was 90 degrees, okay? On Monday, if they set it at, and we'll say the set point was 72 degrees, they're not ever gonna touch it till it's time to convert it to heat mode
Back in September.
and make it whatever they want, 68 degrees, 65 degrees. That's the 2 times of the year that you're actually gonna pick up that remote and change the temperature.
yeah.
The rest of the time, as Jack said, set it and forget it, leave it alone.
Or you might even be, not even be changing the temperature, you might just change the mode.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct, that's a good point.
We saved $4,500 in fuel oil and in kerosene at our cost in the hardware store last year. It's really simple to realize how quick you're gonna pay for these things.
So when you get those tough days, early spring and late fall, where it's starting to cool off and all of a sudden you get a hot day, do you just suffer through that day rather than switching the system back and
You
forth?
switch it over.
If you know what's gonna happen, yeah, you would
Right.
come in
He's
the
got- He
morning
makes a very good point.
and say, I
Like I
came in
said-
at 6 this morning, switched it over from heating mode to cooling mode.
Right.
And tonight, when I go out, or tomorrow, if it's gonna drop, you just switch it back.
Correct,
And you'd only have to switch the units, like, you're gonna be in here on Saturday, you're not gonna be in the sanctuary, you'd only need to switch here.
Exactly.
Right?
correct, yeah.
Yep.
Almost, then it becomes almost like zoning. This is a zone, you decide how you wanna handle the heating and cooling for this particular room or zone.
The zones that you'll have a zone in the sanctuary, a zone in that room behind the sanctuary, the sitting area is a zone, and now the offices are in a zone. So they'll be able to have whatever temperature they want and whatever in the rooms. So, if the sitting area you want it cooler, you can lower the temperature. It's independent.
You know, and here again, I always talk to people, even though, you know, I'm the heating and air conditioning gentleman, you know, we're tossing around 72 and cooling. Try 74, you never had cooling,
Yeah, it'll be fine.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have a lot of thermal mass here, and this is, you know, you put that at 74, it's pretty comfortable once we get the humidity out of the room. Once we get that drop down,
That'll
you know,
keep-
like in here, obviously, there's a massive amount of water behind us.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna spend some energy to get this room to temperature because we gotta kind of pull all this moisture
yeah.
out. Once we spend that in the amp draw, we could literally, Jack could do a real easy example. He could go to the disconnect when we start it up. You're gonna be like, well, hey, wait, whoa, that's not what Halsey said, I see 15 amps. Whoa, what's going on? I'd be like, okay, give us 24 to 36 hours. Let's come back. Oh, we come back, these things are barely running, it'll be noticeable. Okay, Mr. Corona, can we put our amp
Just
meter in there?
maintaining, yeah.
Now, all of
During
a sudden,
maintaining,
that 15 amps has gone to 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And it's barely puttering along.
Just as an air circulator, more or less.
Yep, well, they will shut off, and they have an air sampling mode. Periodically, they'll just come on for, I think it's 5 seconds. Sample the air, oh, I'm good,
Shut it down.
done.
The control is not in the remote. The
No.
remote sets the units. All the sampling of the air and the temperature are done at each of the
Internal,
heads.
sure.
There's outdoor air sensors, indoor air sensors, pipe thermistors. So again, the unit is constantly looking at, for some of us older folks doing air conditioning, sorry, Jack. One of the first things we want to do is put our gauges on there, right? Oh, we got these gauges. We got to put our gauges on the unit. Well, when I teach about the Fujitsu units, I'm certified with the factory to teach. The last thing I want Mr. Corona to do is put his gauges on there. It's computer driven. So we don't really know where the compressor is. I don't know where the fan speed is. I don't know, there's a metering device in there that has 470 steps for the refrigerant to allow how much refrigerant to go through the pipes. I don't know where that is.
You don't need to know. That's exactly what it is.
There you go.
Yeah,
You said
you no
it.
longer need it.
No, you're
But
absolutely
that's where
right.
this is where the energy efficiency.
Well, it's like when you get in your
this
car
is-
and just, you know,
Yeah, this is where the
Yeah.
heating, I mentioned 110 degree air, this is how it's done,
Eventually.
you know?
I don't look and listen
The
to it.
technology's proven, it works very, very well. You're dealing with one of the top manufacturers within the industry, Fujitsu.
The reliability's there as well. I've had one replacement in all the units that we've done, that I've had to go back and take one out and put another head in. Not the whole unit, just the
just a
head.
head.
Yeah. So I mean, in the hundreds that we've done, they're pretty. You just keep them clean on the outside, they're up on stands, you make sure nobody shoots them with the BB gun, and you're all set.
How are you transitioning, like, the plumbing from outside inside?
You drill about a 3-inch hole, and the unit itself mounts over this hole. And all the line sets go through there, and the drain line goes through there, and it goes down in a gutter-like material down to the unit.
And the unit's outside on.
The unit's outside on the
Yeah.
pad.
Stand.
We put it on a concrete, we put 2 concrete pads down, and we screw the stand to the concrete pad, so that the guy who's mowing the lawn
Isn't throwing grass into the,
isn't throwing grass.
Well, plus, we are using these as heat pumps, sir,
Yeah.
so we need them up off the ground 12 to 18 inches for the winter months.
Yeah.
So they are on stands, clear underneath, and one of the benefits of that is the lawn care,
Yeah.
that grass, weed whackers.
is there a big problem with running refrigerant lines? I mean, is there any degradation so we can position the heat pumps
No.
fairly to
Yeah.
keep them out of sight?
You can manipulate where they go with Mr. Corona, yes.
We were thinking about in the sanctuary, instead of making 6 penetrations in that stone wall
Behind the altar?
behind, well,
No, on the walls.
all the walls are stone, they're concrete
Oh,
block and then
Yeah,
they're stone.
stone.
Instead of making 6 3-inch holes, we're thinking about running the 3 units on the one wall together and going out once.
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right, so there's only one
One
penetration
penetration.
in that stuff out there, that flagstone. And, we'll
it's
show you
got
all
the
this
stuff.
stuff.
So how would the lines be running inside then?
They would be with the same tracking, which I'll go through and I'll show you. It's again, it's like a gutter material, and it's either you want, and there would probably be brown.
So this would be a gutter material inside?
Inside, correct.
So that can hide the drain and the line sets
Mhm.
to get to each of the units. Now, we were thinking about putting the units over the windows.
Right.
That
So
would make sense, yeah.
it's just drilling. You start drilling that stuff, it's just not gonna be easy.
We're talking 6 units out in that one, right?
There's 6 units in there, yeah?
So you'll put 6 heads in the sanctuary, 3 on each side,
Correct.
No, there's.
above the windows, or
See, the thing about it is,
you've got to space them?
there's gonna be not, I think that, there's gonna be 3, gonna be more than that. There is 9 tons out there. There's gonna be either 4 on one wall and 3 on the other, is that the way it was? I know we didn't have an even amount,
Oh, okay.
all right, just because of the position of it. You have an 18,000, 2 18s on 136, but there's 6 of those? I didn't bring all of it.
So they could be roughly alongside the walls, of the windows in, and perhaps in the back where we enter into the sanctuary?
No, because where you enter into the sanctuary is gonna be cooled with the unit in the drop ceiling.
I'm not talking the narthex, I'm talking once you go into narthex, you actually enter the sanctuary itself.
They're
where
gonna
you-
be on the walls.
Yeah, they'll be on the
On the
walls, left
either-
and right.
Left
Okay,
and
left or
right.
right, okay.
Over, up top, over the windows.
Okay.
You might not
Yeah,
have
the
an
outside
equal-
windows, not the windows in the back.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with the outside one, but I was thinking you had 3 and 3, and you could put 1 above where we enter in, pushing directly towards the altar.
I see what you're meaning now.
If-
You know,
yeah,
balance.
if they can figure out how to get there, that could,
I mean, I'm assuming you're running refrigerant lines.
yep.
But there's limitations.
That's why I asked, is there a limitation to
There's
how
a
far you can
minimum
run?
And there's a maximum.
I figured there must be, but I wasn't sure if it
The way
was,
it is each unit's gonna do 2 heads. So that if you put 2 units on the north wall, you're gonna have 4 heads there. And you only put 1 on this side, you're gonna have 2 heads on that one. You can't take, it'd be very hard, to take an even amount and run one line set, all completely the other side of the building.
so each head has its own totally separate line set,
Correct.
so,
Yes, sir.
so it wouldn't go like 3 lines coming in, fit the first one, pass on, hit the second one, then the third one?
Not really like that.
So they all come through
Each
the wall?
head is a home run, if you will, to the condenser.
Okay.
To
So
the
each
outdoor
each
unit.
one has its own hole through the wall, or?
Well, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
eliminate.
Well, that's what I was thinking. In my mind, I was seeing it comes in at one point, and then basically, let's say you're running like a line to feed each one of them. One line, another line, another
We're
line.
trying to get away from cutting that many holes through the building.
Yeah,
So we're trying to cut one hole and.
To handle it all.
If worst comes to worst, that's the way it's gonna be, that's the way it's gonna be. We'll have this tracking on the outside of the building. As they come out of the outside of the building, they have to go to the outdoor unit, so they'll either go left or right, depending on where they are. Again, I'll show you all that, so that you can see exactly what this stuff looks like.
And as you say, these units are super quiet.
Oh, man.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not like what you think.
They'll give the decibels in there on each of the units.
I think within the first 3 or 4 pages, they talk about the decibels.
yeah, I know the inside ones are quiet, because we rented a place that had Mitsubishi ones.
Yeah, they're
You
the same.
can't hear them, yeah.
No,
So the multiple units in
sanctuary,
the multiple units in sanctuary, they run to individual compressors or condensers, one to each for each, or
No.
one large?
one large compressor
For 4.
in one of the units that'll handle 2
Two heads.
18,000s, right?
Okay.
So you'll have 3 tons of cooling on each outdoor unit.
Okay. And then it's a home run, so if you have one condenser, or whatever,
Everyone's used to it.
goes to 2 heads, 2 home runs.
Right.
The other one, 2
Two
home
home-
runs, 2 home
Yeah.
runs. And then the ones that are mounted in the ceiling,
Yes.
the ceiling kind of an air handling
Oh, yeah.
space, is that one?
No, because the grill itself, I call it a concentric. In the middle, it's got these louvers
Yeah.
that blow the cooling out
Down and out.
and the heating out, and it draws up through the middle, the return.
I'm concerned about pre-existing wire that's not penetrated.
No, it's not gonna be, there's gonna be nothing up there.
That's low.
No,
That's low.
no.
That's good.
They are
Yeah,
nice.
because if you had, you use the above the ceiling as a common plenum, like they do a lot of commercial buildings,
Yeah, you're not doing
that,
that.
you're not doing that.
Yeah, like.
Nope.
All right.
Well, it's just like.
Don't know what it gets the expense.
This sounds like a tremendous system. I don't know if I want to call this a concern, but I just want to throw it out there. Are we getting a Cadillac when we could really make do with an economy car?
I won't put anything in, that's, I can't do it to you guys, that if I, I can get cheaper units. There's no sense, I don't wanna be
Okay.
coming up here
Well,
fixing.
that's what I want to ask.
I
you
don't
know?
wanna polish up a turd all the time.
Oh, yeah,
Jack, we're in
yeah.
church,
You can
be good.
polish it as much as you want, it never turns into a diamond, right?
Right, exactly.
I
Yeah.
need somebody that if I'm gonna
here's-
call for a part, I need to know where I'm gonna go get it.
Here's the way I talk about that. This is technology, okay? Are there lesser units on the market or more economical units on the market? Yes. Do they perform the same? No. Do they have the track record? No. If, collectively as a group, I'm sure you're gonna meet and talk and go over this. You should be looking at Fujitsu, Mitsubishi, and Daikin. They are the leaders in the industry. They have the proven track records in the industry of sustainability, reliability, and, to Mr. Corona's point, technical resources. Okay,
We
they
have
are.
a problem that we can't fix, get right on the horn, you get a number for that claim that say, okay, I've got a bad circuit board. We've had a couple issues where mice have gotten up inside the unit and actually had a feast on the wiring. Takes out a lot of things when they start chewing on electrical. So, a lot of times we have to get a circuit board or, things like that, so they ship overnight. It's not like you're gonna need that unit, cause you're gonna have multiple units running.
Have
So,
the redundancy.
you're gonna know that unit's not working, it's not opening up, it's not working.
From a business standpoint, Security Plumbing Heating Supply, 83-year-old company, 12 locations across New York State, Massachusetts. We sell one line of ductless splits. That is it. We refuse to work or do anything else. Because some of the other ones, yeah, can you save a little bit money on the front end? Probably. We talked about longevity, we talked about reliability. It's not there. It's not there.
And there weren't any other, there's really nothing to replace, is that right? It's just, there's a filter to be
There's
cleaned.
to clean the filters and,
Cost of ownership, maintenance,
Yeah,
Maintenance.
filters,
standard indoor filters,
yeah.
and then the outdoor units should be professionally cleaned
Mhm.
once, maybe twice a year, depending upon the cottonweed and what's going on. These are single source, is what we're talking about here. This would be your primary heating and cooling. So it would be my recommendation in the beginning, so you can get a feel, especially anything along the parking lot area here, okay, because it's a fine, fine dust. You'll look at it, you'll be like, oh, that's clean.
Wash it off.
You'll wash it, and then all of a sudden you look at the dirt coming out of there, yeah, that ain't so clean.
Here are the churches that we've done, we've done St. Patrick's,
right,
okay. We've done St. Mary's,
right.
we've done, Father Moynihan's not there anymore. Sister Mary, and actually she's retired as well, in Athens. All these places we've done in the past 10 years.
And then you mentioned the library as well, Jack?
The library we did, and the thing about the Catholic churches are, they'll bring the engineers in. They bring an engineer out of Schenectady, and he hammers you. He wants to know everything. They're proven units. We've gone through everything with them. They've approved us and the installation of these units in most of their churches.
The Fujitsus.
Fujitsu's. Oh, we did put them in the church in Catskill, which is the same as the one in Athens.
St. Patrick's.
Same, yeah, right. They're the same. In the school. She has a church now
There's
down
St.
underneath.
Mary's. Problems with technology today is that they can be hard to fix. So if something does go, you pretty much replace it?
Our guys go to
Or-
school.
I was gonna say,
We go to school. Halsey actually teaches one of the schools.
Persico Oil has spent a fair amount of money training and educating their technicians.
All my technicians aren't young kids anymore. you know, we're all over 50. Most of us are between 50 and 65, so we're not new to all this. So when you come into the house, the respect of what you're working on, the people's, it's there. It's not like we're gonna, you know, I'm not saying 20-year-olds can't do this, but they don't think sometimes about what they should be doing, and they, you know, they make mistakes.
The biggest problem could be longevity. If they last 15, 20 years, you may not get parts. But
That, the thing about it is, every year, these things improve. The thing
Yeah.
about it is, when I put these into the churches that were passed, they're already outdated,
exactly.
all right?
But-
So if I gotta
right.
replace one down there, I just put a new unit in. That's how much they change.
Right. It's pretty rare the whole unit has to be replaced.
Yeah.
The failures we see are generally freon leaks,
Yeah, stuff that's relatively easily repaired.
relatively
It's just-
easy repairs.
And I'm
Again,
thinking,
you know, I cover a large territory. You're working with a contractor that, he's from the area, he has a very, very good track record. And I'm saying that from a security point of view. I have problem contractors. You know, and Precico Oil is not a problem Fujitsu contractor for us whatsoever.
Any problems with circuit boards?
When the mice get in on them and
Yeah, sure, the
they
mice,
get
yeah.
burned up on them, yeah, we've had a couple
Yeah.
meltdowns where you find the carcass and they say, what the heck?
Yeah,
Infestation is really the only.
That's-
Suicidal.
that's what you run into.
Yeah,
is
well, yeah.
critters.
Yeah,
Okay.
the board is buried in the unit, and again, I've taken them apart with holes, he's probably better at that. They're in like a second layer, so they're not exposed in any way.
Gotcha.
Do we have any kind of service contract with Precico already?
You do.
yeah,
So how does that work out with multiple units?
Well, no, you don't have a service contract for AC. Nobody has I don't offer a service contract for AC. You have a heating service contract, which Donnie doesn't charge you for.
Right.
You get it for free. So we service the boilers, we do all the service calls for free, we keep you running. Okay? There is no service agreement for the AC. You can call us and I can send men up to clean the units.
Yeah.
And basically, again, do I think he'd charge you for it? No, he probably won't.
Well, I mean, I have AC and I haven't cleaned my unit, but it's also a heater, so I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, you're cleaning, it's half the parts are the same, for the same purpose anyway, so.
Right. Keeping the units clean on the outside is important.
Yeah.
We wash them down. The church in Coxsackie doesn't use them for heat, they actually cover them. You'll see, go down there, go past there and look, between the parish house and the church, they actually have the head covers made. They don't use them for heat. They do have a very large boiler in there, and they do have very large radiators that go alongside the building under the stations of the cross. So, I mean, it's
Yeah, we haven't gotten it.
it's how they want to use them, how you want to use them. They need
I
it,
was just thinking like warranty and like stuff like that. So if something breaks in the dead of summer, you know, I just wanted to know what we're looking at as far as.
well, you'll call us,
service
Right.
call.
and if
Parts.
it's a warranty
That's what I
part,
meant.
10 years, you're gonna get the
Thank you.
part for nothing. And
Oh,
again,
10 year? That, I missed the one.
10 years?
Yeah, 10-year,
10 and 10.
10 and 10,
Okay, oh, all right.
10 and
As
10.
long as the equipment's registered, you gotta register
Right.
before
Yeah.
it
The
weighs
equipment
jacked
does
up.
need to be
And I
registered.
hate registering.
And it doesn't matter that you're commercial use, they don't derate your warranty.
and it's
So, yeah, I
coming,
know Presigo takes good care of us labor wise and stuff like that, so I was, you know, worried about the circuit board that goes in the middle of the summer or something.
If it's a warranty, we order one up, put it in, and
Piece of
that's
cake.
pretty much
Does
the way it
the,
is.
All right,
it's got a 12 to 15-year lifespan,
does
maybe.
the
yeah,
area have a lot of power outages?
no, I live on the street, I've only had one in the
The-
last 5 years.
We're doing something different, and I don't know if Halsey knows it, we're putting the surge protectors on every unit.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
Because of the electronics that are in there.
Yeah, it's definitely what,
We're
yeah, you
putting,
have
each
to.
one's has a outdoor surge protector that mounts right on the disconnect
Yeah.
disconnect
I was
box.
gonna say, that,
And
that's.
you know what,
that's where
I don't
was-
have to worry about a spike in the power to take out all this electronics.
Well, because it is computer driven.
Sure.
When you open it up, if anyone's looked inside their computers, if you open up a Fujitsu unit, you're gonna be, oh,
Yeah.
there's a CPU in there. There's truly is a computer inside this unit. So I always preface, how's your power? Do we have,
Yeah, surge.
Yeah, plus, we're a
Nope.
designated, emergency shelter too,
Yeah, so
so,
that's good.
yeah, we're in good shape. We'll be the first ones to be,
The worst thing to happen
Reconnected.
would be a dirty power, where you're not getting clean voltage. Like if you had a generator on this building, and the generator kicked on, and it just wasn't enough to run these units, we're gonna be replacing units. That's just the way it is, because it's not getting the power that's required to run the unit.
Are the surge protectors tested to see if they've
They're
taken
right
a
on
shot?
the units. I don't know.
They're
we're
if-
using
standardized.
intermagnetics?
Yeah, the one I get from you.
Yeah, our intermagnetic surge protector's been a proven one, there's a green light.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that the one with the
Well, I
switch out the modules that switch out, or
no, it does not have, it's not that fancy.
that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've
Well-
seen those now. I've been thinking about putting them in our house.
Basically,
Because-
in your own house, you should go one that goes on the panel box.
Yeah, but now they have one that goes up, attached to the panel box, but then it has almost like a circuit breaker. It goes,
It's
when it
not
goes
resettable.
green, when it
Yeah,
changes,
this
you
one's
pop it
not
out.
reset, no.
It's just,
It's a
this
new
is
thing.
protecting the unit, not that fancy.
And as we're talking about power, I don't know the parish's plans or anything, I know we got a roof here we don't really wanna touch. They're solar friendly.
We talked about that on our walk last night. Like, it's electric, and we have solar panels. Multiple people in this congregation have solar panels. That could be a way to go in the future.
Change the lighting in here. Not that hard, change all your lighting. I cannot believe I changed all the lighting to LEDs in my house. My bill went down $150 a month. I could not believe it. They give no heat off, they give unbelievable amount of light, and they're nothing to run.
We've changed everything
And
except
they last
for
forever,
the
you change
fluorescent
the bulb
tubes.
once.
Well, if they don't burn out in the first week or two, you're okay.
Right, well, that's it, I got
Part of the Fujitsu, where a lot of the energy savings come from, I'm not an electrical engineer, but what I can say, anytime you start a motor, that inrush current is where, as a consumer, you spend probably
Sure.
60% of your money. Fujitsu is being variable speed, okay, there's no inrush current like
They
that.
ramp up? They ramp up and down?
They
You
ramp
see
up
them
and down.
ramp up and down.
So when we talk about solar, man, that, they're extremely solar friendly. So if that was a consideration
Down
of the
the line?
congregation or something, they certainly,
So the compressor motor, we're not talking just the fan.
Now, what we have to do is find a solar company that's called
every motor in
Oregon
the unit
Solar
is a
Company.
DC
And we
driven
use that
variable
Oregon
speed
fund
motor.
for,
DC.
we
DC.
don't need Oregon.
We take AC current and convert it to DC with an inverter. Inverter driven heat pumps is the way we. So we have diode bridges and rectifiers, and we can head off into this if you would like. Can I go get a PowerPoint?
Will
Do
you
you-
take DC power?
Oh, great. Do you guys have the ability to test our power, to, like, run a meter on it for a time period to see if our,
I'm sure
because I
Herb's
mean,
got
it seems
something.
like it's good, but you don't know what seems good.
Is it
And,
underground or overhead?
I don't know, is it,
I think we're underground.
Well, yeah,
The last problem we had was power, and I had to fight with Central Hudson, until I started telling them that the lamps on the street, they weren't LED yet, so they were resetting. And basically what would happen,
well, the only thing we haven't talked about is what the actual bottom line is.
Okay. The project without the things that you've added to, which are the office and the hallway, we're coming in at a material and labor cost of between $75,000 and $80,000. That's not including what Herb's bill would be, as far as buying the electric. I'm not sure how he's gonna do that, you'd have to talk to him. That's what these units are cost. Again, that's what I figured them to be. When they get to the owner of the company, it may not be what they are. But I can't tell you that ahead. I wanna give you the worst scenario, that's it.
So
And-
75 to 80 is including labor
Yes,
at this time.
that's outdoor units, it's the concrete, it's the stands, it's running the line sets, it's putting the units in, getting everything completely ready. All you gotta do is bring power to them.
The outdoor unit only.
the full project.
That is, of the full project being everything but what they added to tonight, which was the office and the hallway.
So that's classrooms.
No,
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 the
no.
classrooms are gonna be
No
running off the
education
old
wing
heat.
at this time.
That'd be phase two.
The boiler is good for the classrooms.
Yeah, the boiler can still run the classrooms.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't necessarily need,
And we don't use the school room.
we don't necessarily need movement in there.
Well, we'll have the old window air conditioners that exist now in the, that could, and even if you just bought a couple of $150, $200 units for those rooms, it'd be cheaper than trying to put in an extra head and compressor unit
Okay.
for the amount of time you use the classrooms.
With what we have, we should have enough for the school building. You don't have to do downstairs that much.
With the new
We have
system?
the nursery, the senior, Rogers classroom, and one other, and that still leaves us one for the choir room. We have 4.
Air
Plus-
conditioners.
plus- yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yes, yes. Yeah, it would make perfect sense.
How many rooms are down there? There's only rooms along the east wall, right?
Yes.
Come out of
And
the
around the
room,
corners.
Around the
there's one or
corners.
two
There's
there.
one at
And
the
they go
end.
one
Yeah,
room
so
around
there's
the
really
corner.
not a lot of stuff down there, so I could probably get
It's
one
4.
unit if you decided to go this way
I mean, we
down
have
there.
the heat already is there,
Yeah.
and it's just a little air conditioning once in a while.
Oh, yeah, you can just-
And we have the window air units already.
It's partially below grade anyway, it's cool.
Cool's, yeah, downstairs fairly cool. It's moist, but,
And then they're only used in the morning when it's generally cooler.
yeah.
You know, I mean.
So that'll save you a lot if you don't have to process the whole
Eventually,
classroom
Boiler is going to be,
phased out.
Not
time
there
to say,
anymore.
like to say,
Have a garage
okay,
sale.
now it's,
Someone else has gotta take it out, I put it in.
well, we got a nice big Bilko door for you.
Yeah, I think we
And
put it
new
in with
stairs,
a,
too.
New stairs.
New stairs.
New stairs.
I think it was, one of the Burnses put it in with a machine, they're that big.
I believe it. But I mean, that system eventually will die on us too. I mean, it's 20 years old, roughly.
Well, think about it, the pipes are this big, and you put hot water in there, the amount of fuel that you're using,
Yeah.
they're huge.
That's what I'm saying, in the second phase, even though it was like, oh, we got a heating system, you know, it's like initial layout again. You know, before, like 5 years, the
Yeah,
thing
crawl
pays for
before you
itself,
run.
now you're all in bonus.
But then
Crawl before you run.
if we take out the sanctuary, this room, and the hallway, you know, now you're cutting yourself by 60%.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
those rooms
It's
don't need
huge.
heated
It's,
very
it's a
often.
huge cut, and
So you
it,
can turn off one of the boilers
yeah.
and fire the other boiler at whatever the rate would be for that.
And should that one break down, you've got the other one as a backup theoretically.
Keep that redundancy.
Yeah,
So-
for now.
For the next day. We'll both be in the grave by the time we're done.
Well, in 30 years, you can plan on that.
Yeah.
I'm passing on my little granddaughter.
There you go.
What's our annual fuel oil cost?
You know, I didn't look that up, but it's
We're up
a
It,
decent
it,
amount of money.
it goes all over the place,
It's gotta
but we budgeted this year, $12,000.
Chunk of change.
So,
That's
in
wicked.
We
that
get-
respect, if
we
I
get-
can't cut $6,000 off of that,
We get 500 gallons delivered every month.
right, that's what we do, 500 gallons a month.
500.
Yeah, but then there's often not a delivery in like July and
Well,
August.
we also watch the money coming in, and we watch how it all flows. And if we, you know, you need it, we give it to you, and like 500 gallons a month, that usually does it. But that'll all change.
I mean, I have seen facilities literally cut their oil consumption by 60 to 70%.
Well, the hard
Oh,
one,
sure.
I didn't put a lick of oil, or kerosene, actually, now as I think, in it all
There's a-
year.
There's a
And that
local
was-
competitor that doesn't like his salesman selling the Fujitsus because it's devastating his oil sales.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Tells you
Well, I would have to,
You
oh, I'm
guys-
sorry, I didn't mean to
No, no,
cut
it's
you
all
off.
right. Nope.
Future's coming.
Payment plan.
Well, actually, in reality, if they're not up here servicing this place, they're saving money. You know? I mean, let's be honest. You know, it's really to their benefit for us to go to this.
Cut our oil consumption in half. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
Jeff,
I would, you know.
you gave us the overall price, but per unit, how much is it roughly?
It's hard to say per unit because
They're different sizes.
All different
There's-
sizes, yeah.
there's all different sizes.
Oh,
There's one that's 36,000, each use 3 tons, running 2 18s. There's a bunch of them in the sanctuary.
right.
There's other ones that are running the the lounge area and the room that, before you go into the sanctuary.
Right.
So it's hard to say, this one costs $6,000, this one costs $5,000, you know, that breakdown. When Halsey gave me the price, I totaled it all up and figured out if I'm gonna spend every head, I take 1 day of labor. So if there's 30 heads in here, I'll be here 30 days. Miserable as will be at times, he doesn't lie. So I go to him, I said, we did this job, all right, to save money. We changed all the lighting in the hardware store to LEDs, really efficient LEDs, and did some other wiring, put the Fizzichus in, and he hasn't seen a raise in his electric bill. Wash. And I was amazed because I figured, okay, so.
The LEDs can make a huge
Yeah,
It was a
difference.
wash.
They've only just come out with a new LED tube, so we
Right.
could actually,
You can just
swap
go
these
get the
out now.
tube and put it right in the same fixture.
right,
I'm
but that's
not-
new, I mean, like in the
Well, it
last
depends
year
on the
even.
rheostat.
A little
Yeah.
bit of an initial
That's
cost,
true.
but if
Well,
it
you don't
comes
have-
out
you
in
have
the
a
end,
These are
Better.
all, well, I mean, we use.
It-
longevity.
And you'd have to check
Yeah, the
longevity.
valve.
Yeah, it might be actually
The
better
valve.
to replace the whole
Yeah,
unit
yeah.
than
Valves
just a
don't
bulb.
take new
You know, you have to look and
Right.
see how.
But the fixture's not that
Good.
expensive.
Here for 30 days,
I wouldn't wanna put anything.
with you being here for 30 days, or round numbers, a pretty sizable proportion of that bill is actually labor.
This is the thing, that's why I can't really give you a number, because Donnie doesn't charge you a lot of labor.
Right,
So I want to get some jobs that I can make money on first.
Sure.
Get them in the books.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
all the ones that I'm doing now for the next couple weeks. And then when I can send the guys up here to start it.
yeah.
Fit you in.
You know,
So
we
get
can
him in a good mood,
Right.
right? Is that,
I
yeah,
can't hit them all at once.
Is he a
Yes.
Scotch drinker?
But I'll give it to them slow, but
okay.
um,
So as,
I'm not sure how many heads. We had nine heads, let's see, 9, 10, 11, 15. So again, it's probably 15 days, not 30 days. But you might have wiring, so you might end up being a month.
Right, between
We're
the
gonna get you
wiring.
up and running, one section, get the thing wired up and get it on. Go do the next one, get it up, wire it, get it on. So it's not that it has to wait to the end of the job to get everything up and running. We can do the church area, the sanctuary first, get all that done, get it running, so that you're not hot in the summer.
right.
Yeah.
And then we can do the different areas after that.
So as far as you're concerned, what would you need next from the church?
I just want a commitment, and I think because we're talking, I don't think Donnie would even need anything, to be honest with you. You know, if you guys say it's okay, it's a go, I'll get with these guys, we'll figure out exactly what we're gonna do. I'll get back with you, and we'll go in their room, and we'll say, this is the unit, this is where it's gonna go. Because once you start drilling holes in that, you're not gonna move.
Right. Does he or perhaps Security Supply ever offer any sort of financing?
Donnie does, and I'm sure Donnie will, if you need it, all right? I'd rather have the project, it's less of a burden for him if we do partial project than if, because come September, he's gonna need all his funds to buy fuel oil. And if he has a large payment out there every month, you know,
prices are going up.
it's going back, it's gonna go the other way. It's gonna
It
go
is?
the other way. Yeah, I was afraid it was gonna go 350, but it's not. And there's no reason for it to go up, that's the problem. There's no reason. You know, Donnie, because he's the businessman he is, noticed because there's a lot of people in town that changed, well, we lost 200 customers in town to gas. He bought another fuel company up in Superior Oil in Voorheesville, so we picked up another 800 customers out there, so we're back up to 3,000 customers now, so, you know, it was a good financial move, replacing the customers that he lost with other customers. And they burn a lot of fuel up in the mountains, let me tell you. It's a whole different world up there, burn, Knox, Westfall.
Still winter up there.
Yes, exactly.
About a week ago, the driver went up there and called us and
It's
said,
still snow.
you got 3 inches of snow up here.
Lakes are still frozen in there.
The hardware store?
No, they're hanging on the wall.
Oh, you put them on the wall, okay.
They're also wall brackets. If you don't want them on the ground, we can hang them on the walls. The only thing about that is if I gotta repair it, you're repairing it off a ladder. And if it's up high, you know, repair it when I'm 4 feet on the ground, and then, you know, you get a little easier to do. But if you want them up on brackets, we can put them up on brackets.
But can you mount them on, you can mount them on brackets 4 or 5 feet up? Still, I mean, because you were
But we
thinking.
have stands, we have the stands, we put
Yeah.
concrete down.
Well, I'm just thinking because we were talking like with lawn mowing, everything
We
flying,
can put them up on stands 2 feet off the ground,
yeah, it may
we could
be,
do that too,
The stands are adjustable.
yeah,
We sell them two different styles.
yeah.
yeah, that would, you know,
Well,
just
the-
a thought,
the
because,
guy
you know,
mowing lawn
that's, if
always
clogging it up
points
is
the mower out.
away, good.
The thing about,
Just saying. Are you sure?
Well, too, you know, in any case, kids are playing and throwing stuff, you know, sand or.
in the senior center, and we put them up high in the wall, a woman hit her head on it. She wasn't aware that it was down there that low, she hit the
Yeah.
corner of it. On the floor on a stand, you're gonna trip over it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like the ground stands. They're well built, they're powder coated,
They're very heavy
they're
stands.
heavy duty, they work very well. Even if the lawnmower guy happens to have a bad day.
Well, you know, if somebody, well, you know, if somebody catches a stone or
Always changes.
a squirrel's walnut or something,
That's right.
or kids throwing
Yeah,
stuff,
so
you know, we
the
get
other
kids
concern is the
playing,
kids, yeah, I mean, we have lots of kids running around that.
running
way.
around out here, yeah.
So, you know, throwing footballs and stuff like that, and.
And we could put a fence around them, like
Yeah, but they can't,
some kind of
they
screening.
can, but you gotta hit them pretty good though.
I mean, they're
Bend 'em
solid.
up. They're
not
solid.
Yeah.
flimsy.
Short of putting a bullet through it.
Well, I'm thinking like we've got a sandbox out there, kids start throwing sand into it, or,
Well, they
you
would
don't
have to
know,
come around to this side of the building.
or toy
They're
soldiers,
gonna be
or,
over
They're
here.
gonna be on the parking
They're
lot
gonna be
side
on
of
the
the
parking
wall.
lot side.
okay.
Or that's where.
But you
Mr.
bring up
Crowe
a good
would-
point.
Yeah,
You
well, I
could
mean-
put something around
Yeah, well,
them
if
to
they're
keep.
parking lots.
Everything-
I like parking lots.
No.
Because
And
basically,
they ought to be supervised anyway.
sometimes, I mean,
Situation we're talking, but you're gonna get too much, you know, fall onto it. So
Oh, you're talking about where that outside compressed.
Well, aesthetically wise, you would
compressor,
see it
yeah.
less there than it would if you're more inside, but, I mean,
Well-
like I said, the only spot we really have aesthetic, to me, is just that's it.
Right,
The only aesthetic.
but one's gonna have to be in there somewhere. I
Right,
mean,
that's what I'm
maybe it
saying.
could be tucked back in
Maybe
the
that
door,
inside corner.
and by the end,
You
yeah,
need-
exactly.
You need air on these things, you can't
Right.
suffocate them.
You'd
Right.
be surprised in the winter, the cold air that blows out of them, and in
Yeah.
the summer, the hot air that blows out of them. So,
Yeah.
you know.
But it really couldn't, you couldn't put it up around there, there's just too much.
Too much water and
Yeah.
snow would fall off it there.
Yep,
So it's gonna have to be that inside.
I think it's
corner.
gonna have to be, yeah.
That's something you could discuss with Jack,
Inside corner.
again,
We
because.
can
What's
keep
that?
it tighter to the
What do you
building,
mean by the
depending on
inside
how.
quarter, by the?
Because that's only one unit you're
that little
talking there,
pad?
right? 'Cause
On
in
the
that
By,
is three
by the
inside,
lounge windows,
four on the other.
Yeah, could be.
there'll have to be a unit in that
Because the
corner.
south side,
oh, where the bell is?
You know what, I mean, I know it's.
Well, it'd have to be back,
But in that area where that bell
area,
is,
yeah,
that
yeah,
would-
there has to be something in that area.
Yeah, so, yeah, that you may wanna
It's like,
hide
there.
behind.
What's that?
Well,
You know, there's a little walk.
You guys talk about the whole
Right,
situation.
yeah, that's, so one has to go there somewhere.
I'll just need.
So if we tuck it back in the corner, maybe it wouldn't be too bad.
Ready to go, we'll talk to the guys.
You know what, after the first year, nobody's gonna.
That's true too, right. And the fact if you look at it and go, you know what, that means it's gonna be comfortable in there. It's not such a eyesore.
Well, they make a lot of these lattice things that you can just set it up with.